Are the Patriots the worst team in football? We examine after another blowout loss here on Patscast.
Got the Patscast on my mind. Another loss, another grind.
Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Visit expressvpn.com/Patscast. Get 3 months off of a 12-month annual VPN plan. Again, that is expressvpn.com/Patscast. Patriots lose 32-16 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team they really should have had a shot at beating. I mean, this Jaguars team, I know they have better players overall, and they didn't turn the football over. They generally were pretty buttoned up today. But early on in this game, it looked like the Patriots were a very different football team, and that fell in on itself very quickly once Jacksonville began to expose the Patriots' weaknesses, of which there are many. One of the non-weaknesses that the Patriots have, one of their strengths, if you will, is Drake Maye. I mean, Drake Maye continues to, quite frankly, be the best player on the field that the Patriots have. His second career start went 26 of 37, 276 yards passing, almost hit the 300 mark, allowed 2 sacks for 19 yards, had 2 touchdown passes, few great plays with his legs, and about a 110 QB rating. So really can't complain too much about Drake Maye. Now, there were quite a few turnover-worthy plays. I counted at least 3. 2 that should have been easy interceptions, which Jacksonville was unable to snag. And then there was a deep bomb late in the game that had the potential to be intercepted. And those may not be the only ones. But Drake Maye was far from perfect. But when you consider the situation that he's in behind this offensive line, with the lack of weapons that he has, and, you know, Demario Douglas, I guess, was sick all game. Jalen Polk can't do a damn thing about all game. I'll get to that in just a moment. But Drake Maye continues to be the shining hope for this Patriots team. And you have to be at least a little optimistic because this team is continuing to lose and there's so many other problems. But at least now you know you have the quarterback position figured out. I mean, Drake Maye, not a lot of QBs. I don't care if they're veteran, Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks. Not a lot of QBs would have thrived in the situation that Drake Maye was in today. And he performed generally pretty well with almost 300 yards. A few of those yards came in garbage time late. Would have liked to see the Patriots at the end of the game. They were down 16 points with about 90 seconds left. Would have been nice. It's still technically a 2-possession game, and, you know, you're not winning that football game, but at least try to play to win a little bit. You know, I thought Drake Maye was doing a great job leading the 2-minute drive there, trying to get the team down the field quickly, but they weren't spiking the ball or anything. Like, if they had actually spiked the ball 2 or 3 times on that drive, they might have had a shot to get in the end zone, and then let's say you have 20 seconds left for an onside kick, you convert the 2-point conversion, then you at least have a shot, right? Like, and it just seemed like they waved the white flag way too early in that game. Again, the Patriots were losing that game, but to just see Gerard Mayo and company kind of give up there and let the Patriots dink and dunk it and run out the clock when they're moving the ball downfield, you really hate to see that. And again, you would have had to go downfield, convert 2 points, get the onside kick, go downfield, get a touchdown, and convert the two-point conversion once again to tie the game in 90 seconds. That probably wasn't going to happen, but at least try, right? Like, that was a little bit disappointing. And then you could rack up some more stats for Drake Maye, who could have probably hit that 300 mark had you done it and gotten another touchdown. But overall, really no major complaints with Drake Maye. Yeah, there were some accuracy issues. His footwork is still kind of messy. Far better than it was 8 months ago, but a little messy still, but overall, extending plays with his legs, making incredible dime throws. There was a throw along the sideline to Kayshon Boutte that was incredible. His touchdown pass to KJ Osborne was an absolute cannon on 3rd and long. And, you know, you give him some time, and I thought the offensive line still looked a little bit better today. Drake Maye did have some time to throw the football. You give him time, he's going to make something happen. And even if you do get a pass rush in there, more often than not, Drake Maye can extend the plays with his legs and at least make something positive out of it and throw it away. Did have 2 sacks for 19 yards. One of those came very late in the game. But overall, that should have been a game where he was sacked 5 or 6 times, and he only allowed 2. So credit, I guess, to the Patriots offensive line for the pass protection. They did lose Layden Robinson early in the game with what looked to be a leg injury, and Sidy Sow went in there at right guard. Wasn't perfect, and there was a penalty on Michael Wenu at right tackle. I think Jacobs jumped on a play. There was a holding call on it should have been City So. I think they called it on Jacobs. It was still a little bit messy there, and the run blocking, again, not very good this week. But overall, pass protection is improving. Drake Maye continues to get better. Really the best player on this team right now, which is crazy after his second start in the NFL. But also, he's the second best player because the Patriots also don't have very good players. But I think they have good enough players to play better than they have been playing. And a lot of this goes down to the lack of creativity, once again, with offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. Now, I am going to give him some credit. That first drive of the game, the Patriots really did a good job at controlling time of possession. They lined up like they were going to run the ball on first down every play under center like they did last week, and they had 4 play actions on first down, or they had 4 play actions on the first 8 snaps of the game. So they really kept Jacksonville on their toes. I would assume a lot of NFL teams do this. They probably scripted much of that first drive, so I don't think there was a lot of creative play calling that Alex Van Pelt had to do. The creativity came in the game planning this past week, and it worked out. The Patriots eventually, chewed a lot of time off the clock, had a lot of play actions, was not too predictable on first down. Drake Maye had his touchdown pass thrown to Jermichael Hasty on a check down on third down, recognized the blitz, got rid of it quickly. Really good job, and then the Patriots just looked good overall in the first quarter. They had a decent second drive of the game, wasn't able to get into the end zone, but they did get a field goal out of it, went up 10-0. They controlled time of possession in the first 15 minutes, 11:30 to 3:30 versus Jacksonville. And you looked at that and you said, this is going to be a completely different football team now that you have Drake Maye in there. They're making the right play calls, and then it all went to hell. And, I'll get to the defense in a minute because they are mostly to blame, but not letting Alex Van Pelt off the hook. I thought they did a great job at scripting that first drive, even the second drive, but then they went back to doing what they always do, running the ball on first down, predictable play calling, and it seems that unless you're opening up the passing game and really trusting Drake Maye to take over, this offense cannot move the football. And when they did open it up, Drake Maye was able to push the ball downfield, even with the lack of weapons that he had out there. As I mentioned, Demario Douglas was kind of on and off the field throughout, didn't play a ton of snaps because he was battling an illness. And then once again, Jalen Polk with just an awful game. I counted 3 drops. They were a little bit more contested than some of the drops he had last week, but for a guy who was asked in an interview this past week whether he's concerned, and he said, no, I'm not concerned. I have the best hands in the league. Those were all 3 catchable balls that if you did have the best hands in the league, Jalen Polk should be able to wind those in, and he was not able to. 2-point conversion, had the chance to make it a 1-possession game late in the game. Jalen Polk slips on what would have been probably an easy 2-point conversion, lets the team down there. Really just a horrendous game overall by Jalen Polk. Plenty of targets, but didn't have a single catch. He had 3 targets, didn't have a single catch the entire game. And you have to wonder if Jerod Mayo, he said this past week, there's going to be big changes. Didn't really see any big changes on the offensive side of the football. You have to wonder if he's going to bench Jalen Polk. Maybe give Javon Baker a shot. Maybe you put Tyquan Thornton, God forbid, back out there. There's a lot of things you can do, but right now, these are some real mental issues that Jalen Polk is dealing with. But as Jerod Mayo acknowledged this week, saying he has some mental issues he has to get past. We know he has the talent, we know he has the hands, but he has some mental issues to get past. And then, of course, Jalen Polk's response to that was, I'm not mental. So that's not a great look from a guy who had basically no red flags coming out of Washington. Really high character guy, and now he thinks his head coach is calling him mental instead of just an expression, hey, he's having some mental issues out there, but he can overcome it. So Jalen Polk, the biggest down player probably the last 3 weeks. With all the struggles on defense, Jalen Polk probably struggling the most of any player on this Patriots team right now, and you have to wonder if Jerod Mayo is going to think about benching him. But overall, all of the offense is coming through Drake Maye. Getting a lot from Kayshon Boutte, got a little bit out of Kendrick Bourne as well, but really spreading the ball around. Hunter Henry had another big game, 8 catches for 92 yards. Jermichael Hasty really looked to be an effective third down back with Gibson kind of hobbled out there. Ended up having 5 catches for 49 yards. He was their second leading receiver, but spread it around. Booty had a big catch for 33 yards along the sideline. Austin Hooper had 4 catches for 32 yards, and he spread it around. Douglas, again, was limited, but 2 catches, 2 for Osborne, and then 1 14-yard catch by by Kendrick Bourne. So, look, they have decent receivers out there. The pass protection wasn't bad, but they can't run the ball to save their lives. 18 yards from Ramondre Stevenson, tied on the ground with Drake Maye, who had 18 yards. Gibson had 4, and then Hasty couldn't do anything on the ground, had -2 yards. So that's 38 yards total, 20 from their running backs when you take out Drake Maye. That's just not going to cut it. We thought this had to be a run-first football team. They were week 1 when they defeated the Cincinnati Bengals, only able to get 20 yards out of your running backs. That's not going to win in this football league. So pass protection's good, but the run blocking isn't good, and the running backs just are not doing their job well enough with the gaps that they do have. So a bit disappointing there. It all kind of has to go through Drake Maye at this point, and we'll see how they do it, but that's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie quarterback. But if the Patriots want to win some games this season, that seems to be the only way. And the reason that is because the defense isn't getting the ball back to Drake Maye to put it in his hands. And they had a decent stop in the first quarter, but then Jacksonville really exposed the Patriots' weaknesses. And once again, they just cannot figure out what to do with that lower middle portion of the field, whether Jacksonville is running the football or throwing the football. They had easy checkdowns, easy short routes right across the middle of the field, and the Patriots once again could not defend it. And remember, I said Gerard Mayo said he was going to make major changes this game. I didn't really see it. I mean, basically the change that he made was putting Christian Ellis out there starting at linebacker in place of Raekwon McMillan, who does lead the team in tackles, but McMillan really has not performed well the last few weeks. A big reason why the Patriots haven't been able to protect that lower middle of the field. But Christian Ellis just looked lost out there. And same issues that we had with McMillan with less talent. And McMillan was in on the second series for Jacksonville, didn't look very good. Then Ellis took over again, and they couldn't do anything. But it isn't even necessarily like, you know, I place a lot of blame this past week on defensive coordinator DeMarcus Covington. It isn't really defensive scheme. It isn't really play calling. It's just, you know, we know there's injuries, but it's coaching in general. It's basic fundamentals. It's tackling. Patriots, a lot of the time on defense, especially even in the second half, they were in the right position. They just couldn't make any tackles. And once again, the defense just could not stop the run. The Jacksonville Jaguars rushed the ball for 171 yards today. So this is actually the first time the Patriots have allowed 160-plus yards rushing on the ground 3 straight games since 1993, since before Robert Kraft was the owner of the team. I mean, that's how bad it has gotten. And like I said, there are still issues with protecting that lower middle of the field. The Patriots have good defensive backs. I'm not worried about that. But it's just making tackles at the line of scrimmage. They just can't seem to do it. And it's like you watch the play and you think, okay, this is going to be a no gain for Jacksonville. And then Tank Bigsby still manages somehow to pick up 4 to 5 yards on the ground. And you go like, if that was a Bill Belichick coach team, that would have been no gain or maybe even a negative yardage play for Jacksonville. They just cannot make those tackles at the line of scrimmage, and that's why Jacksonville just decided, all right, we're not even going to throw the ball at this point. We only threw it 20 times with Trevor Lawrence. We barely threw it at all in the second half. We're just going to run it to Tank Bigsby. They didn't even have ETN out there. They just had Bigsby, who might actually be better than ETN, but even if they did, like, that would have been even worse for the Patriots. Bigsby had 118 yards, rushed the ball 26 times alone. They rushed the ball 39 times if you count the 2 carries by Trevor Lawrence, 171 yards. It's not scheme, it's coaching, it's tackling, it's basic fundamentals. And whether you have Christian Ellis out there or Raekwon McMillan, it's not working. Jelani Tavai, still having trouble being in the right position, making tackles, giving up big plays on the ground. Even guys like Marte Mapu, who's a smart player, just look lost out there at times. So again, I don't think this is a scheme thing or play calling. It's just general coaching, general fundamentals. And as much as I've been harping on defensive coordinator DeMarcus Covington, who deserves a lot of blame for this has to fall mostly on Jerod Mayo. He is the head coach. He played the linebacker position. He should be able to coach this out of them. He was a great player at making tackles along the line of scrimmage. He played with guys like Dante Hightower who could do the same thing. And he's just watching this break down week after week after week, and there are just no changes being made out there to allow these players to tackle more effectively, and he's just not coaching them up the way he should. I mean, this is like high school level stuff that Jerod Mayo should be coaching up, and we're not seeing it. And again, DeMarcus Covington deserves a lot of blame there too, and all the defensive coaches, but look, the offense is in its own world right now, and overall, I know they need to run the ball better, but they have the quarterback now, the pass protection, regardless of the O-line combinations, the many O-line combinations, they're protecting Drake Maye fairly well compared to the last few weeks, and they have okay receivers that are getting open, and Drake Maye's working with what he has. The offense is in their own world right now, and that's basically run by Alex Van Pelt. Jerod Mayo needs to be focusing solely on the defense week to week and coaching this team up just so they don't turn what should be no gains into 4 to 5 yard carries or let them break through the second level and goes off for 20 yards. I mean, there are so many situations here where you just think the defense has an easy stop here and they give it up. And really, I think that ultimately has to fall on Jerod Mayo, who played the linebacker position. And, you know, I would have been nice if Mayo hadn't been so successful as a rookie. I mean, he was a great player immediately when he came to the Patriots. Was an early first-round pick. Didn't really have that experience of trying to make the team, working his way up the depth chart. And I think it's starting to show that he doesn't really know how to coach those players. Those guys who are second or third level on the depth chart, struggling to make the team, struggling to make an NFL roster. How do you coach them up to make them salvageable out there? That's what Bill Belichick was so great at doing. Didn't matter if you had injuries on the defensive side of the football. He'd figure out a way to coach it up, make it work, so you're not allowing almost 200 yards rushing week after week. But that's the situation we're in right now with a rookie head coach, and the Patriots need to fix it up very quickly. But look, I think the offense is getting better. They need to run the ball better. Defense continues to regress. Special teams continues to regress. They allowed a 96-yard punt return today. That was almost too easy. I mean, the lane was there. He just had one defender to break who ran behind him, or one special teamer, and then had an open lane right to the end zone, 96 yards. Special teams coaching, which looked really great the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, now continuing to struggle. So, look, this team has a long way to go. We know there's injuries. We really miss having Juwan Bentley at linebacker, but the real flaws, the real weaknesses are being shown right now with the young coaching, and the only real veteran coach that they have out there, Alex Van Pelt, is the only one who is kind of improving his unit of the team, but at the same time, we know the play calling is an issue. We know they can't run the ball, and unfortunately, in order for the Patriots to win games the rest of the season, they're just going to have to rely on Drake Maye throwing the ball 40-plus times a game. I mean, he threw it 37 times a game, which you know was not part of the game plan. They did not want him cracking 30 today. But they would have much rather done what Jacksonville did. Trevor Lawrence threw the ball 20 times. They carried the ball 40 times total almost. That's the game plan Alex Van Pelt wants to do, but it's just not working. And this team has to basically be Josh Allen the first 2 to 3 seasons of his career. Poor defensive team, poor offensive team, all of it has to fall on the quarterback. And unfortunately, that's the situation that Drake Maye is in right now. So, look, I'm encouraged that I don't think Maye is going to fall apart behind a bad offensive line and start regressing or turn into one of those players that, like Mac Jones, that after taking a few too many hits, starts making big mistakes. He's going to make mistakes just because of the type of quarterback he is in general, but he's a tough player. And I think Drake Maye is going to continue to excel this season. He's going to have some 300-plus yard games. Hopefully he gets some wins. But overall, this is a team that has a quarterback, has an okay receiving core, has good defensive backs, but that's about it. Every other position grouping is an absolute mess right now. And that's going to take more than just one offseason to rebuild, even when everyone's recovered and healthy, because this is the NFL. And you got to be able to deal with injuries and coach players up effectively, and that's something the Patriots haven't been able to do. So Curious to hear from you in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. What do you think the Patriots should do going forward? Are you encouraged by Drake Maye? What do you think you're seeing on the defensive side of the football? What needs to be changed there? Curious to hear from you. Are you happy because Drake Maye looks good and the team continues to lose and has the chance of getting the number 1 pick in the NFL draft? That actually might be the silver lining to this season, is this team goes 1-16 and you know you got the quarterback, and then you have the number 1 pick, which you can trade for a package of first-round picks, and then you're off and running with a very quick rebuild. Maybe this ultimately is the best thing, because we know the Patriots aren't going to make the playoffs this season. You might as well suck, still develop the quarterback, and then next year you're looking a little bit better. I mean, that's kind of the silver lining here, but I'm sorry. I want to win football games, but let me know if you think something differently. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, or follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. No podcast this week, unfortunately. I'm traveling on business, so unless there's any urgent breaking news, probably won't be back until the New York Jets game next Sunday, so we'll see you then.
Got the Pats cast on my mind. Another loss, another grind. Defense crumbles, falls behind. Special teams nowhere to find. Jaguar claws tear us apart. Stumbling, breaking our hearts. Can't believe we let them start. Turning wins into lost charts. Rookie Drake Maye stands tall, proud. Throws the ball to screaming crowd. Long bright light and stormy shroud. Hopes and dreams, he's howard bound. Coach is shouting, plays gone wrong. Patriots gotta stay strong. Every struggle makes us long. For the days when we belong. Helmet crashes, echoes loud. Warriors bruised, ain't half cow. Dust off jerseys, sweat and shroud. Fighting, roaring Patriots crowd. Next game comes, we'll rise again. We've been down, but we all mend. From ashes, Patriots ascend. Winning hearts until the end. Rookie Drake Maye stands tall, proud. Throws the ball to screaming crowd. Long bright light and stormy shroud. Hopes and dreams, he's howard bound. Plays gone wrong. Patriots gotta stay strong. Every struggle makes us long for the days when we belong.